Every day that we add to our Revit models, I ask you guys to sketch them out on paper first. Why do I have you do that before going into your 3D models? Gavin.
I think you have to sketch it out on paper because I feel like you get like it's sort of like a rough draft, and it's like easy to put your ideas into Revit when it's on the paper, so you could just keep referencing it.
It's easier to modify than Revit itself, and generally it helps you put an idea to paper, as it said.
I think it's also like a good idea because when we map it out on paper, it also helps with the dimensions and proportions of like each wall.
If we like put it on paper before we actually modify Revit, you can like kind of double check that we actually know what we're doing before we go and potentially mess up the program.
To kind of feed off what Connor was saying, when we
Interruption. All juniors, seniors that signed up for the college visit for Trinity, please report to the Fab Lab. All juniors and seniors who signed up for the college visit for Trinity, please report to the Fab Lab.
Feeding off what Connor was saying, when you have us sketch it on paper, it kind of gets us critically thinking about what we're actually doing on the computer, because if it doesn't make sense on paper, then it wouldn't really make sense in the 3D model, and it helps us think, like electrically speaking. If we're gonna put wires somewhere, and we sketch it on paper, and we're building off of a sketch that we already had, and wires intercross with something that we already sketched, and the same thing's gonna happen on the computer, and that's one less mistake we're gonna make digitally when we just sketch it out ourselves.
Does anybody not think it's a good idea? Think it's a waste of time?
Basically, yeah. I feel like that if you just, because Revit has already like tools that you can use to measure out a whole entire layout, and that's basically the first step that you can use to like build your model in the first place. So sketching out it, while it is helpful to like get a really rough idea of what you want, I feel like you can also do the same thing with that on Revit with all the tools that it provides.
I would like to I would just like to say something. I feel like I feel like you'd want to start off by sketching instead of starting off on Revit, because it's like easier to revise. Like if you make a mistake, I feel like it'd just be easier to fix on paper than it would be to fix on Revit.
And it's like the analogy, you gotta walk before you run.
And I want to add to that because like do it on paper before, it removes like the process of trial and error, because you are able to make your mistakes before you upload it to the program and develop a solid idea of your actual project.
However, I would like to say that if you have an idea in mind, and if you're already like planning to like do it, I think that it would be easier to just do it on Revit, because it gets rid of the whole process of sketching and dimensioning when you know what your dimensions are and what you have for a general idea.
I don't think that really helps, because we work a lot in Revit, and it took us a really long time to get to where we know most of the tools, but we haven't even really delved into like the minutia of everything. So going straight into Revit and trying to figure out like where to put everything, and you don't even have a plan yet, is probably more harmful than it is helpful.
So sketching is important because it tells us the order that we need to do things in. If you start on Revit, then you might skip steps or forget a step. So we need to sketch first.